Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us again here on the Pondcast. Tonight is episode 56, and we're glad to have you here tonight, along with our very special guest, Michael Thathuvaswamy from the Turtle and Tortoise Preservation Group. He's here to kind of preview their upcoming conference, which I think begins next Thursday, right, Michael? Or this Thursday?
Next week, yeah.
Next Thursday.
No, next Thursday, yeah.
Next Thursday, yeah.
Field trip on Wednesday the 13th, and conference kicks off on Thursday the 14th.
That's kind of what I thought. And as always, of course, my venerable co-host, sidekick, bodyguard, you name it, Anthony.
That's right. That's how Steve and I first got together. I asked him if he wanted a bodyguard, told him that I would die for him, and from there we've been inseparable. It's pretty much how
Did he pay you in turtles?
No. Dang, why didn't I think of that?
I paid him in connections.
You paid him in connections, yeah.
Wow, look at him. Look at him taking credit for that. Although, Steve, you have made some pretty good connections, but I like to think that that's my specialty.
We make a very good team on that front, to be perfectly honest.
Speaking of making a good team, I have my daughter with me.
Hi. Is she ready for the holidays? It looks like it.
Yes, she is. She's
my kind of a girl. Yeah, way to go.
What toddler is not ready for the holidays, even when it's February, right?
So my wife is wild about the holidays. So on Halloween night, after we're done trick-or-treating, she shuts the lights off early, and we hide and act like we're not home. And she attempts to decorate the house in Christmas fair. Yep, and we have Chippy. She's like, yep, very good. So we're already there. Christmas tree's up. Just saying. Take it pretty
Chris
serious.
and Casey had theirs up pretty early too. We'll
Yeah,
probably
they
get
actually
ours
beat us
up after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, they actually beat us this year.
Yeah.
Anywho, but let's not get too far off topic because of...
Yeah, we'll talk a lot more about Christmas next month.
That sounds good. That sounds appropriate. It sounds much more appropriate, for sure. So the TTPG conference is coming up. I love that conference. I would go every year if I could. Some people do go every year, much smarter people than me with the means to do it. And it's just awesome. And so no better time to have Michael on, someone who we wanted to have on the show for a long time. One of the absolute great guys in the turtle end of herpetoculture, and super knowledgeable and just a super nice guy who would give you the TTPG shirt off his back.
As long as you don't mind the sweat, yeah.
If you give it to me, you'll get sweaty immediately anyway. So that's a different story. That's a different podcast.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. And again, thanks for the kind words, Anthony. It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure being with friends, talking about turtles. Every day is a good day for that. Yeah.
And that's what's so great about the TTPG conference, right? It just has a different feel in that, like, everyone's just there for that reason. I was just on the phone with somebody earlier tonight, and we were talking about turtles, and he said to me that he hopes that I didn't take his views the wrong way. I'm like, man, are you kidding me? Like, this is what it's all about, right? The opportunity to actually get together with somebody who has similar interests and talk to them about those interests and how we all each have a unique perspective, but that's what we're there for. Like, I do it for the people as much as I do it for the animals at this point. And really, it's been that way for a long time. And that's what's so great about the TTPG conference.
Yeah, absolutely no ego. I'm relatively new in the hobby when compared to a lot of the folks who go there or attend. But to be able to, just reach out and have them embrace you as if you're one of their own, which is truly how they look. We call it the TTPG family, and being able to share or talk about minute details or something that you might consider very basic, but also pivot and talk about something advanced without looking down on you. It's just absolutely amazing. I just got bit by that bug in 2010. And Anthony, like you said, I've been attending every single year, with the exception of last year, which I couldn't make it with. I would have, but it was beyond my control. So it's an absolute, it's like a family vacation that I look forward to, and many of us look forward to, which, is like a Daytona, show is like that for a lot of our Turtle Forum friends and, many others, right, in the hobby. TTPG is very much like that.
I feel the same about my trips to TSA conference every year. I went the first time and got hooked, and I think that's kind of the way how it works for a lot of us. And then you can't imagine not being there and getting that reunion every year with your turtle family.
Exactly. True.
Sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, no, I do hope to make it to TSA one of these years. It just hasn't happened yet.
That's funny that all of us are in the same boat. So Steve hasn't been to TTPG, and Michael and I have not been to the TSA yet, which is crazy, but it's just the situation. I'm trying to remedy that this year. Hopefully it's in Orlando. Fingers crossed.
I keep telling myself once my son goes to college, things will change a little bit, because now you got family vacation that you got to plan, summer camping that I have to. Right. There's only, my work loves me, but they're willing to give me only so much time off, Right. So you got to pencil that in.
Right. Absolutely. So TTPG, my takeaway every time is like, there's so much social time, but at the same time, I can't find enough time, as Kevin joins us. Hello, Kevin.
Hi, guys.
Nobody can see him yet. I got to load him in here.
Oh, I can see him. So Kevin will be joining us in a second for those who can't see him, as Steve loads him in. But when I'm at TTPG, I can't find enough time to talk to all the people I want to talk to. That's how many interesting people there are. And I go with a game plan, right? I'll look at the speaker list. I'll talk to friends who I haven't met yet or haven't seen in a long time. And I kind of have an idea of who's going to be there, and I have like a hit list, mostly based on the speaker list. But then I get there and somebody speaks about something interesting that I didn't even know was going to happen. I didn't even know how interesting it was going to be. And someone just absolutely captivates me. Or someone walks up to me and says something to me that I wasn't expecting. And absolutely, I'm like Michael Scott in The Office, where I'm just like emotionally driven. And like if some experience can totally like change my whole day. But I run around like a chicken with my head cut off the entire time. And I always get almost everyone, but there's always people that I miss because there's just that many people that I want to talk to. It's really an amazing thing.
Yep, and the party's in too many places. You got the sports bar across the street that's always filled with TTPG or attendees. You got the hotel lobby. You got a couple of breweries. You have to. If we had a portal, it probably would make it a little bit easier. You can go grab one drink at the sports bar, go through the portal, go to the brewery, grab a drink there, go to the lobby, grab a drink there. I mean, it can be coffee, but yeah, it would make my life definitely a little bit easier.
You're talking about a portal like Star Trek? Is that what you're talking about?
That's what I was thinking, but I'll,
I just want to make sure I'm following you on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hey, technology is always improving, and,
one of these days, right?
There are people working on that.
Who knows?
But yeah, no, definitely. I fly in on Tuesday and I fly out on Sunday. It's still not enough time. Too many wonderful people and genuinely warm conversations that you want to be part of. And it's like you said, you have a game plan, but it's still hard to kind of step away and walk away from some of the conversations because you're just so drawn into it.
Right. Absolutely. And I'll tell you, sometimes just if anyone's watching this ever talk to me at TTPG, you could think of which side you're on, who you are. But there's certain times where I want to get somebody and they're talking to someone else, and I wait around like a nerd who just listened to a TED talk that in person that they're really excited. And sometimes people will come up to talk to me, and I'm like waiting to talk to this person. I'm like, dang! But then those conversations end up being awesome, right? Okay. She has to go pee-pee.
Yeah.
We're going to figure it out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, and that's why, we so Wednesday evening used to be our icebreaker barbecue, but now before the Wednesday icebreaker, now we are trying to we start having unofficial Tuesday evening icebreakers, and yeah, I think it's probably just a little bit of time, give it some time, and we'll start having Monday evening icebreakers. So we'll kick it off and make it a week-long party. You know, you guys can come up with some clever name like spring break. It can be something that we do in fall with turtle people.
That's awesome.
So, I know you guys have announced the lineup several times. Is there anything in particular you're super excited about hearing at this year's conference?
Great question.
Was that for me?
Yeah. Yeah, you're the only one going out of us, I think. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, that stinks, but that's the truth. So everyone watching, if you have the opportunity, be better than us and attend the conference this year.
Well, see, I think the Turtle Room guys need to make a plan. At least one representative from the group has to be there every single year.
Andrew should be there for sure.
That's right. But come on, that's a little bit of cheating. That's come on, Steve. Okay, so we have great lineup, speaker lineup. Many of them who haven't presented at the conference before. Shanna Fred Lake is flying in. Christine Langer, our backup speaker. I think I'll be shooting myself in the foot if I said I'm looking forward to one specific presentation more than another. Because what happens with these presentations for me specifically is I walk away with something new. That's the best part of this conference. It's like going on a retreat and picking something that you're doing already, but you can do it in a much easier way. Somebody's doing it in a much easier way. You're like, why didn't I think of that? And you're taking that away. We literally have a talk, I think, by William Espenshade titled Feces and Fiber. So kind of to give you an idea, we talk about poop, we talk about everything. I'm looking forward to every single one of them. Part of it is not just the content that's presented, but the way it's presented. Some of our speakers are so engaging. I mean, anyone who attended the year that Carl Franklin was presenting would not forget his presentation at all. Such an engaging guy.
Oh, Carl's fun to listen to, too. Great sense of humor, very engaging,
Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about. And that's the case with a lot of us, because Stefan from Austria, you just don't forget him presenting something. It sticks around for such a long time. You don't even have to take notes. It's just such an engaging, he's such an engaging speaker. So I'm really excited about meeting a lot of our new speakers that we have lined up this year. Always opportunity to make new friends. That's really one of the biggest draws for me.
Kevin, how's your string cheese?
Guys, I'm so sorry if that was rude. I haven't eaten today. It's been a long day.
No worries, man. No worries.
You look like you haven't eaten for a while.
Dude, stressful day today.
I apologize.
No, that's all right.
So all you need is a string cheese and some flavored sparkling water to wash the cells of the day away.
I'm all done now. I'm good. Sorry about that.
You had to know I'd make fun of you for it, or at least call you out.
I planned it.
Because my thought always is, someone's at home watching this and is thinking, like, this dude is seriously eating string cheese right now. And not just eating string cheese, but, like, eating string cheese like an elementary schooler. Like, you really were pulling it.
What, are you supposed to just bite it? That's ridiculous.
Yeah. There's a scene in The Office about that where Ryan just tells Toby, I think it is, about how, like, somewhere around age 11, he just started going for it, just biting the string cheese instead of just peeling it down.
Oh, no way.
It's the little things. These are the little things. And this is what's so great about the podcast, at least for me. We can go down this rabbit hole, and we have this wonderful guest who everyone's excited to hear from, and now we're talking about string cheese.
In The Office.
Yeah, always.
So is it mandatory with Steve being from Pennsylvania that you have to talk about The Office, or is that the thing that you get drawn to?
No.
No, that doesn't. That just. Anthony knows enough television and movies that he'll connect to some television and movie.
Right.
There's always a scene or a quote that
I do that with Friends show, because I've seen Friends rerun so many times.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, if you have a situation in life, maybe the answer is in Friends. Just go look at Friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for my wife and I, it's Friends and Big Bang Theory and kind of an older one, but I know MASH really well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hate laugh tracks. I don't like shows that have laughing in the background. Turns me off.
Yeah, I don't think I mind it.
No, I don't either.
We're all immune to it. That was sitcoms forever. Anyway,
it's them psychologically telling you to laugh.
I like turtle talks that have laughing in the background because that means they're really good. Just saying. Laughter is even better than like the lean in and nod. Like someone who's really interested, the laugh is even better because that means they're with you. That's the connection. It's like when you yawn at the same time as someone, it means statistically you're more likely to love them.
Hey, so we have a question from the audience.
Yes.
Andrew over at Arizona Tortoise Compound.
I've heard
our own Andrew.
Yeah. So he says, ask Michael if his Hypomoremys nigricans is still thriving. Also, where can we find the speaker list for the TTPG conference?
So, the nigricans is alive. I don't know if I would call it thriving yet. It's still in the incubator. We were talking about that briefly. It came from an egg. It came out of an egg that I did not expect to hatch at all. So who knows what funky stuff happened there. So that turtle is a little bit still, looks a bit deformed, but I'm keeping a close eye on it. And if it's meant to be, we'll have some, fun with it in the future. As well, the speakers list, Andrew, it's my bad. I can thank PGD for it. I'm kind of like almost 2 weeks behind, still catching up on things, thanks to the blackouts. I'll have that posted to the TTPG discussion group tonight.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I hope you'll be there for both days, not pick and choose presentations.
Man.
All right, everybody is seeing your nigricans right now, Michael.
That sounded a little accusatory, Michael. I like that. Andrew, you better not be picking and choosing, man.
No, it's funny, very much like what you said, right? Andrew is there and he's local, and I see him, I say hi. I don't believe we have grabbed a meal together or anything. It's just not enough time. I hope that will change this year. But yeah.
That's awesome. So everyone can see that beautiful animal right now. So we keep saying
I can put it back up if you want.
Nigricans. So I like to, as a courtesy on the show, I don't like to just speak in Latin names. Like I think that it's easier to when you know the Latin names because then there's less confusion. However, it's important just to make sure that everyone knows what the common names are so that it makes it easier for them learning. So this would be the Kwangtung river turtle or redneck pond turtle, which is a species we've talked about at length on the show in the past. Normally it's a really black turtle with maybe a little bit of red highlights, more in the males. As far as markings go, beautiful markings, but for the most part, it's a relatively drab turtle, for the most part, generally speaking.
Very stinky turtle.
Yes, they can be. I've got 10 of them here. Sometimes they really like to musk me up.
My dogs are barking, so I muted myself.
No worries.
High production value over here. So they're a species that commonly isn't that beautiful, but that specimen is out of this world and probably has the greater turtle community all over the world drooling and peeing their pants over it. I can't wait for the Asian offers to start pouring in. Just saying.
I get excited about Hong Kong hatchlings. It sounds weird to call it the normal ones, but just to emphasize what I'm talking about, it's just such a beautiful turtle. As a hatchling, I get super excited. They're like little ladybug turtles that pop out, and it's definitely a species that's close to my heart. And to your point about them being drab, still very distinctively remember back in 2005 when I tried to get some. That was exactly what was told to me. The breeder wrote back and said, "Oh, sure, Michael, they're just ugly cousins of reefs." I'm like, "Yes, I'm sure." Now, I heard a similar quote about Manoria MSE as well when I first reached out to a breeder in Florida and said, "Hey, I want a MS hatchling." He said, "Are you sure, Michael?" Because I had redwoods and other stuff, relatively colorful stuff, I guess. And he wrote back and said, "Are you sure, Michael? It's just a black turtle." I'm like, "Yes, I am sure." And I'll tell you, any opportunity I get to play around with some Manoria MS, I think I'll take it. The eyes just are so captivating. And my quantas are very shy. I very rarely see my male, but every time I see him in the waterland tub, I get super excited. My male is very colorful, so I never complain about seeing him, which is a rarity.
That's so awesome. I love to hear about your excitement when you talk about these species and what they mean to you. I've always felt like I've like drab turtles too. Drab turtles. We talked about that on the show before too. I think like your Californian native, the Pacific pond turtle, is a turtle that is not as attractive as the other species in the former Clemmies group, but it's such a cool looking turtle, I think.
It is. It's a major draw. I'm one of the few people who are a little bit blessed to be able to handle them as a wildlife rehabilitator. Excuse me. So as a wildlife rehabilitator, I can keep them, temporarily, and then I have to find homes for them once we determine they cannot be released, which often ends up being the case. People find them as when they're hatchlings, they don't know the difference, take them home. 3 years later, they written the spawn turtle to us saying, "Hey, I cannot upgrade the aquarium or setup," and we then have the spawn turtle that can go back in nature. So I'm blessed to be able to handle them and care for them briefly at least. It's definitely, I think a year or so ago actually we had this conversation on Facebook. I told I don't know which group of friends we were talking. And I said, "You know what? I've never come across an ugly turtle or a turtle I didn't like, And Joel Garcia rose up to the challenge. He started posting pictures of deformed turtles. I'm like, okay, I rest my case. But no, I'm looking at a particular species, I'm feeding or cleaning the setup, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, that's such a gorgeous animal. And then I move on to the next enclosure, I'm looking at something else. I mean, this could be a North American pond turtle, wood turtle, or it could be a Reeves turtle. Reeves turtle, I still don't get tired of watching them. I call them my water puppies. They're just goofy. They never get tired of eating. It's like they've never seen a meal, even though I've just fed them 2 hours ago. And I love watching them. Same thing with sinensis, Chinese golden threads. Just absolutely stunning animals. I don't get tired of watching them.
So, I love a man who loves Morenis.
I was going to say, for those who don't know you, clearly you have a thing for Maremis.
Me too.
I have a thing for turtles. See, let's leave it at that.
Well, I was going to ask you one of those challenging questions for us all. Now, like, for some folks, it's a bit easier to answer than others. Like last month's guest, Jeremy Thompson, he clearly loves Kinnixies more than anything else, right? So, if you had to pick a group of turtles, Michael, and I'm going to let you pick a group, not just one species, but if you had to pick a group of turtles, which one would be the group that you'd keep?
Wow. How much time do we have to make a decision here?
So this is like that. We're gonna reference Friends since you mentioned that.
Right. Okay.
This is like when they ask Joey if he'd be able to give up food, or women?
Put your hands
And then
together.
he eventually he's like, I want girls on bread, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I can pick just one. So, maybe you should clarify Anthony's question of what you meant by group, because I'm not sure that I can just pick a Moremes or, Platanus or something and say, okay, that's what I'm going to keep. But if somebody really put a gun to my head and said, you are allowed to keep only one species, pick it and work with it, it's going to be crassicales. That's
Wow.
probably what I'll end up keeping. And yeah.
Wow. So the black marsh turtle, that's interesting.
They're
'cause
fun
it's
turtles.
really- But he's a really personable, so he likes a challenge.
I like a challenge, yeah. I won't deny that. And it's super appreciated turtle. They're hard to establish and everything, but still, they're brought in such huge numbers, treated like dirt, and people don't want to give them a second look. But I absolutely love them. For those who, Russ, the TTPG founder, Russ Gully, has been successful in reproducing them in last couple of years, and I've been blessed to be able to grab a couple of hatchlings from him. Absolutely one of my favorites. But remember, I'll do that only if somebody puts a gun to my head and said, I have to pick only one.
Don't take my chances, man.
Yeah. But if we then bump that to 5, it's going to be the crassicales, my North American wood turtles, my Reeves turtles, my Kwong Tong, and my redwoods probably. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. I mean, the problem with Moremis, right? Like, I would keep every species. So we're talking about like what's the common name for the entire group of Moremis? Like the Asian pond turtles.
Yeah.
Pond
turtles.
So that's like your Reeves turtle, your Chinese thread, Kwang Tong, your yellow pond turtle, Moremis mutica, Japanese pond turtle, Moremis japonica. So there's like something like 11 taxa or something in that genus if you count the subspecies. So something like that. So they're great to keep, and they're usually relatively cheap to acquire. So they're great animals to work with. Like at my TTPD presentation last year, I talked about Reeves turtles, their educational value, and their worth as just being a great pet. Like every house that has a Redditor slider in America should have a male Reeves turtle instead. Like great turtle, manageable size, right? But you can't keep them all because they require these separate setups. So like unless you're Paul Vandershow and you have these awesome segregated setups, they're like the most promiscuous turtles. Yeah, they're the most promiscuous turtles on the planet, maybe besides like a male Chorda trifasciata. Like they'll mate and hybridize and produce with anything that they can find. And that's one of the difficulties of keeping them is you can't be building groups and keep a couple different things together for a while unless you want to create a bunch of hybrids, which is nothing wrong with that for those who do, because ultimately 99.9% of what's happening in captivity isn't for conservation anyway, even if they're endangered species like the Reeves turtle, or an endangered species like the sulcata. It poses different challenges for a keeper, and that's something I'm going through a lot as somebody who has several groups of Moremis, because I really do love them. But you can't keep them all, unlike Pokemon.
Right. I did have my share of oopsie, I think about 6 years ago when I hatched out Reeves and Chinese golden thread hybrids, 2 clutches, so that carried over for 2 years. And yeah, the males of that genus need only very little time. You think just only a couple of hours, nothing's gonna happen. Nah, they prove you wrong. But I like the fact that they don't discriminate. It's nice.
Reeves golden thread, is that Glyphostoma?
I didn't name it. I think a dear friend Kurt Edwards called them Thathuvaswamy or something like that. I forgot what he wrote, but he's like, "Are you trying to make more of those?" I'm like, "No, it's just sperm retention carried over. That's all."
Oh no, they're anamensis. Those are sinensis and anamensis are Glyphostoma. So they're one of the species that was originally they were originally thought to be a species, but then they turned out to be a hybrid.
No kidding. Okay.
They're Anamensis, and Sinensis, the golden thread turtle, has a couple of those, including Philippini, named after Hans Dieter Philippen, which was Cora trifasciata and Sinensis hybrid that was thought to be its own species for about a half a minute. That one was described later and then debunked.
I might have to dig up later to see if you have pictures of those. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I actually have some hybrids that I'd love to show you pictures of, but I'm not really totally 100% into it. But I'm into the history and the educational value of these things, right? So if there's a chance, like I have a group of Maremys hyversoni, which is trifasciata mutica mix, yellow pond turtle, golden coin turtle mix. And they were thought to be their own species for a long time, just like Cora serrata, until it was debunked around like 2004, 2006, something like that. So anytime there's an opportunity to teach people about like the history of nomenclature and species, species, like the naming of species, and in this case, the debunking of species, I think that's a really cool project.
It is.
Personally.
No, I think you and I have talked about this. Sometimes when you're so used to the species in its natural form, it's hard to kind of fall in love with an albino version or a morph sometimes. I really don't get hooked on. That carries over with beer as well. Barrel aging is a big deal now. Once if there's an IPA that I like, then they barrel age it. I'm not too fond of the barrel aged version, so
what's the barrel aged version of a beer? What does that mean?
So you take an IPA or any ale, they barrel age it in either rum barrels, wine barrels. It can be any barrel. So they leave it in for a certain period of time, and then it changes the flavor, the profile of the beer in question.
Got it. I thought you said battle age at first. So like battle age, what does that even mean?
Yeah, that's what I heard as well.
Put some dirt in there and like stir it with a double-headed axe.
Oh.
Battle age, like the medieval.
I guess I should have started the show with a reminder that my son often says I pronounce words weird, and I do.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. We all do.
Yeah.
Act accordingly. It's okay. Just forgive me for being a dummy and taking a minute to figure it out.
Oh,
that's okay. Yeah, but that makes sense. So you're a purist, and that's cool. I'm a purist. I mean, part of me really loves morphs. Like when I saw the Kwangtung hatchling that you produced, like my first response was just to like scream like Jerry Maguire, like out of excitement. But yeah, at the same time, I am a bit of a purist too. I think you can be both. I wear different hats.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of labels, right? So I'm not sure if I would label myself a purist. It's just that I don't know. It's hard for me to look at an albino reefs and say I don't see the pattern and stuff. Maybe if I look at it in person, maybe I'll see it. But when I look at a picture and stuff, you're not seeing the pattern, which is part of the beauty of the reefs. Or a sinensis, for example. I don't see that. I don't look down upon it. It's just something I haven't chased.
Sure.
Have you looked at those super pastel ones?
I'm not quite sure. I'll have to look at the picture. Yeah.
Yeah, Steve, can you put one of those up on the screen at all?
The super pastel what?
Reeves.
I'll have to find one.
Okay.
I'll have to go back and look at the recording. Yeah.
I can find one and send it to you.
Take your time. So for our viewers at home, if you'd like to text in or write into the chat and tell us what you think Kevin is eating now that he's finished his cheese stick.
It's another cheese stick.
No, it's not. Ew, that's disgusting.
No, they're the best.
Yeah, I understand that they're good. How many cheese sticks are you going to eat?
Dude.
You're going to... Jeez, speaking of poop at the TTPG, you're gonna poop a brick.
No,
I'm worried about your health.
I run on dairy.
Apparently.
Anthony, Kevin's gonna report you to the TurtleRoom HR, man. with harassing him.
Yeah, where's our HR department?
That's probably what's coming next.
Good. Steve, I'd like to make a recommendation.
You talking about these ones, Kevin?
No, that's more albino.
Okay.
Well, that's pastel too, though, because it's got the aberrant patterns on the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one up on the screen. I'm just trying to see how to get it to you there.
Take your time. It's no
I'm
big
working
deal.
on it. I'm sorry.
No big deal.
Kevin,
Well, you guys can chat amongst yourselves.
Kevin, try using your Skype screen share, and I will see what happens with that. Maybe there's a way I can loop that in.
What do you think viewers are thinking right now?
This is kind of bootleg, but...
Oh, that's right. You're using your phone. Oh, yeah, okay. I think I saw that picture somewhere.
That's an interesting one because the shell color is close to normal. And the skin color and pattern is crazy.
It is, yeah.
One of our new members, Steve, I have to talk to you about that later, but he traveled to Shanghai to present, to make a presentation on North American box turtles, and he got some pretty cool photos of some of the Asian turtles, particularly Chinese turtles that he was seeing while he was there, that are being bred and produced in farms. So they're big on the morphs, just as they are with a lot of the rare.
I think Russ or somebody shared. I think it's Mutica, a couple of Mutica pictures. I don't know if you saw that. It was and they were talking about bleaching and a bunch of. I guess there are now processes in place to consistently produce a certain look. It's interesting, but it is, yeah. But see, I've never bred to, if I'm trying to go through those processes and all, then I have to, figure out what I'm going to do with that. Why is it that I'm doing, right? So that complicates it, and I think for me it takes the joy out of just keeping these guys and enjoying them, sitting back and just watching them roam. That particular Hong Kong hatchling, it's there, I'm giving it the best care I can. If it makes it, it makes it. I'm not freaking out to try to make sure it makes it at any cost, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So, guys, we have a question from our last month's guest, Jeremy Thompson.
Oh, I remember him.
Hey, Jeremy.
Michael, I am great support of your effort to put together a TTPG available list for members to connect us keepers with surplus captive bred animals. Can we hear more about this, plus your plans to expand it?
Absolutely. So it's been a goal of TTPG for a while to promote the idea of members sharing healthy hatchlings with other members, hopefully at a lower cost than what we would do to other, the public, if you will. The last year or so, especially, I help out with getting the newsletter out and whatnot. I've been slacking. Don't want to give any excuses. Let's just call it I haven't done the job, right? But we're trying to get back on track. We are trying to also get the TTPG website updated. Hopefully, by the next first quarter of next year, we'll have a fully updated website where members can log in, focus on, take care of their membership, renewals, everything automatically. Right now, that's kind of being handled a little bit manually, so we are working on, improving and bringing in those efficiencies so that the directors can actually go and focus on things that will matter to the members and things that will prove fruitful and worthwhile being a member. And the surplus list is one of them. Like what Jeremy is doing, so focused on the species. We want to be able to connect him with other members who are focused on that species, on the genre, on the genus, sorry. And likewise, we want others who are interested and want to get into kinesis. We want to, connect them with people like Jeremy. So that's where that list is going to be helpful. We don't want it to become another, sales list that goes out. The idea is for people to recognize who else is working with species that is of interest to them and make that connection, which is, I think, where the greatest value lies.
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What does a membership cost, and what comes with a membership to the TTPG?
So the individual membership is $30 a year. A family membership is $55 a year, and the lifetime membership is $300 a year. Now, I hear rumors that the price might change, so if you're thinking of it, maybe get in before we, jack up the prices. You get, you get, of course, our conference is the biggest draw. The connections that come with it. Recently, we have created the TTPG group, and while that's still taking shape, the idea is eventually there will be an area where active members can talk to one another, and the surplus group might become available and visible only to active members. So that's one of the things that's gonna, something we're kind of still giving shape to. And the Batagor, some of you have been contributors in the past, and I'm very thankful for that, and looking forward to future collaborations as well. We are very proud of the Batagor magazine and the articles, the quality of the articles in it. So that's basically what you get for membership. But the connections is the biggest thing. With Facebook, especially with social media, we are working on getting people connected and being able to talk to each other and ask questions. We're not necessarily looking at something very basic being discussed or being hashed out where it's something that's been hashed outside in other groups. We are hoping that the TTPG group will be an extension of the advanced herpetological captive care techniques being discussed or being shared and being promoted. That's the goal.
Interesting.
That's wonderful. Yeah, absolutely wonderful.
A couple of things you've highlighted actually remind me of some of the things we've tried to do and some of our efforts as well. Like, for instance, that digital chelonian log soft application that we have. If a user so chooses, they can make their animals publicly available, or publicly visible, I should say. But there's also a feature where they could allow somebody to search them by the animals they have if they wanted to. And so there's a way keepers could connect with other people who are keeping like species as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, collaboration is a big part of it. And Anthony and I briefly talked about it. This is something we're going to be talking about in depth at the TTPG as we move forward. Collaboration with other groups like the TurtleRoom, for example, rather than trying to reinvent the wheel, everyone sitting in, doing their own thing in each corner. I think it was in last month's podcast, Anthony, you said, how actually the TurtleRoom kind of started coming together, you and Steve keeping cool turtles, and you're like, oh, we went from guys with cool turtles to like doing something with species. That's kind of what TTPG is going after. The goal being focusing on captive care and promoting captive care and making sure that's sustainable by connecting the people who are involved with the species so that it can keep moving forward in a sustainable and meaningful manner.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so what's happening this year is the 10th conference?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, and this will be like the 8th Batagor or 9th?
It would be the 9th issue, yeah.
That's wonderful. That's cool.
Yeah, it's truly remarkable because I think it's kudos to all the members who made this happen. It's as much as the directors, work hard behind the scenes to make it happen. It's the members who have made this a conference truly worth going to and being part of, and they keep coming back. If you look at majority of the attendees at the conference, they are folks who have been there. Curtis, for example, he travels over from San Diego. I think he has attended 6 or 7 years straight. John Green attended a major, large number of the conferences. I think he's not going to make it this year. Hopefully, he will surprise us by just popping up there. So it's been an amazing ride, and I think, like I mentioned briefly the other day, we started in one small room at the Marriott Hotel, and now we are at the Mesa Convention Center the last 7 years. I mean, in just a 3-year period, we went from that small room to the convention center. And if things keep moving forward, I think next year we might have to look for possibly a bigger venue, because we have, we end up finding some of the participants standing and, attending the conference. So I'm excited to see what we are in store for next week.
That's amazing. One of the things that really impressed me and excited me when I was in my experiences there, Russ will work to get scholarships, and if you recall who, I can't remember exactly who, and I don't want to say a name and be wrong, but someone sponsored the scholarships last year, which was awesome, to actually bring young people, like high school age kids, and pay for their their conference registration so they could actually attend the conference and learn from all these turtle experts, which was really awesome to see.
Right. Our friends at the reptile industries, Mark, Bell, and Kimball, they're big supporters, and they, fund or donate a large sum towards the Hans Teacher scholarship, I think is what you're referring to. I think that's what we used to bring Michaela over 2 years ago. Amazing young lady. Yeah. And that's a big part of it, right? Getting the young next generation involved. We are all here, we are all sitting and talking, we are already doing some remarkable work, but it's the sustainability is something that TTPG is keeping a close eye on. We want to make sure that this, whatever we are doing and enjoying, can continue. There's so many legal threads, to keeping turtles, or, reptiles in general. So we work closely with USARC, as you guys know, and this year we have a roundtable discussion, I think, on Friday morning with USARC, PJAC, and TTPG. The 4-inch rule continues to be a thorn in some people's flesh, or many people, I should say. That's something that's still trying to see if we can get a grasp on and get around, get cleared, I should say, not get around. But the next generation is something that TTPG and Russ, like you mentioned, is very particular about. That's one of the reasons we do the International Turtle and Tortoise Week along with Zoom Ed. We put in as much the energy that we put in, because we want to make sure that we're continuing to inspire the next generation and giving them an opportunity to be part of this magic that we all experience, that the young people might not be able to make it happen on their own. And that's been really nice. It's something we've enjoyed doing.
That's so awesome. Actually, if I could speak to a specific experience that I've had with the TTPG and with Russ, when I first wrote for the Badager, and actually it was an article that Steve and I wrote together on Spangler Eye. It was the first article that I'd written for any magazine, and it was in 2014. Russ was really excited about an idea he had to do an article about the next generation of keepers. And he asked us if we'd be willing to help with that. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll write it. What do you want? And he kind of gave me like an idea, like something relatively short. He had a lot of photos. And he was also asking for photos of kids holding turtles. And we had a picture of Jared Sikowski's daughter. And I didn't have any kids at the time, but a picture of a friend of my wife who had a young son who was into turtles. We had his picture in there. It was really cool because all these turtle experts were sharing photos of their kids with turtles or kids that they knew with turtles, stuff like that, for this article. And it was this amazing thing that was like an experience that I'll never forget. And I think it speaks to Russ's dedication to that, but also for me, it was something that I'll never forget, and it really meant a lot to me. And then, can I speak? What do you think? Give me the truth here. Russ lets me look at the Badager ahead of time. Can I talk about an article that's going to be in it, or no?
Well, why not?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you should go, and if you can't go, you should contact the guys from TTPG and buy the Badager this year. But Mark Cantos wrote an article this year, kind of on like a history of like turtle keepers, which was so cool. It's so cool, right? Did you see this yet or no?
No, you know how I said this year I've slacked
Yeah.
quite a bit. This was one of the areas I slacked. Russ sent me
Okay.
the articles and said, Michael, can you look at those couple of
Yeah.
articles? And I don't think I ever got back to it. I felt so bad. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah, but it's truly a team effort. Everybody, and thank you for pitching in, jumping in there. But no, I actually was telling Kevin yesterday. Kevin sent over some payment. I'm like, are you wanting a T-shirt, Kevin? He said, no, it's for the new Bandicoot. I'm like, okay, you haven't seen it yet. He said Bandicoot monograph. I'm like, what is Bandicoot monograph? Okay, I think he's talking about Bandicoot. And then like last week, Russ said, oh, by the way, we're publishing something called Bandicoot monograph. Now, that's for those who know Russ Gully. That's Russ. We love the guy. I have great deal of respect for him. His passion. And dedication to ensuring younger generation gets involved and kind of gets hooked on. It's remarkable. I admire him for it. But yeah, Russ is one of those guys who's trying to be in 20 places at one time. He stretches himself so thin. I gotta love him for that.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, I wrote, he published my book, so I know all about that, and like back and forth, and then he gets busy for a little while, and I'm like so excited on the edge of my seat, and then all of a sudden he has a few minutes, and then it's just like back and forth, rapid fire, and then he'll disappear because he's busy for a little bit, and then I'm just sitting there waiting, so excited for the next time that he has some time, and we would get huge chunks of the work done. He's just the best, and he wrote the Bible for keeping and breeding freshwater turtles.
Well, look at that.
There it is, right there.
He's working on the second edition, which he told me, I think, like a week or so ago. So, like I told you, PG India has been nice to us. They take away our power every once in a while. So these days, I get a lot of time to read. And I was digging up, I mean, I went through, Total Conservancy's The Tortoise magazine recently. I finished that. It was such some amazing stuff in there. I was kind of, Russ and I were talking about this book. Actually, one of our new directors, Vanessa, was asking for recommendations on, I want to get into turtles. What book can I read? And I told her to get this one, and Turtles of the World, that Peter Pritchard translated. So talking about that reminded me of this book, and I go and, I picked it up. I was just flipping through again. It just gets so exciting, Sometimes you forget the gold that's sitting on a bookshelf that you read 10 years ago, and you just forgot. Sometimes going through it, it just brings back such wonderful memories. My wife got this book for me as a Christmas gift. I think say 2004. Russ signed it and sent it over. I tell Russ, when sometimes we're talking about number of species people are keeping. I said, you know what, you ruined it for me. It's because of you I don't have as many species I probably can keep. Because in the Sulcata, the book that he wrote about Sulcatas, the title, escapes my mind, but he talks about how it's as a keeper, you want to provide an enriching, as naturalistic as possible enclosure for an animal. Mm-hmm. So most of my animals, I try to keep them in really large enclosures that, they're not bumping into the same corner all the time, which then limits how much space I have and how many animals I can keep. So I kind of give them a hard time every once in a while.
That's awesome. The Sulcata book, the Professional Breeders Series, the small red book, that book was the first turtle book that I ever had. And the keeping and breeding book that you just held up, which is still available online. If anyone doesn't have it, you need to buy it. It's such an important book. That book, when we did a World Turtle Day video, I'd say somewhere around like 2014 maybe, and several of the Turtle Room staff members talked about that book as a reason, like a why turtles, or I can't remember exactly what the question was, because a few consecutive World Turtle Days we did videos like that. It was something like why turtles, or like what experience was it, or whatever that changed things for you. And several people talked about that book as being one of the most influential, if not the most influential, experience for a budding, aspiring turtle keeper. That to actually, to discover what was in that book and start to get through like all of the different species and the different ways to keep them, but then also seeing some of the similarities in keeping different species too. So you can start to kind of think about how you can try to keep some of those challenging species. Was really influential to them. So
absolutely,
that book was super important. My copy, I can't tell you how many times I sat on the toilet and read that thing. Sorry. And poor Russ, I'm not pooping again, you know? Poor Russ, I had him sign my copy recently. He signed it 2015. He signed it. So I had already been on the toilet with that thing.
Did you mention that it's been
No, not until now. Hopefully he watches this. Russ, if you're watching this, I expect an email or a text that says, "Dude, WTF?" Because I sat on the toilet with that book probably 1,000 to 2,000 times before I had you sign it.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah, I got in touch with Russ first. I want to say 2004. I met him. I was one of those annoying guys who responds to classified ads saying, "Hey, I want that turtle," and then backs off. No, actually, I paid for the turtle. He had a Koala flower machinata, on ad. I briefly talked to him, and this was in 2004, a year after I got to US, still relatively new to the turtle hobby. I paid for it, and then he and I got into details of the care, and I'm like, I don't think I can care for this anymore because, again, I have to remind you, Russ doesn't just take a shoebox or something or a 40-gallon, tub and put the turtle in and say, "Oh yeah, it'll live," right? So the way he was explaining how he has the animal setup and all scared the life out of me. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I can do that right now, so I'll let you keep the turtle. But then we started talking about TTPG. This was in 2004. And, and it wasn't until 2010 when we had our first conference. So I asked Russ in 2004, how do I become a member of the Turtle and Tortoise, preservation group? And he said, well, consider yourself a member. So back then, we didn't have forms, we didn't have any membership. But for him, it was about connecting people who cared and who hopefully will stick with the hobby for the long haul, getting them involved, right? So, that's where he was going, and in 2010 when he sent out an email, and I don't remember how that made it out to me, but when the first conference was in Mesa, I'm like, that's amazing, it's in Arizona, but I'm gonna make it, it's been an awesome ride since then.
So you've been to every one except last year.
Yes.
And I just want to say, so if you won't say it, so Michael is the most humble and modest and nice guy. I really, truly mean that. Like, if you won't say it, I will, if you don't mind me sharing. But, like, last year you were dealing with the devastating wildfires,
yes,
which is why you missed the conference. And you were planning to go, like, right up until, like, the day. Because I remember I was talking to you, or at least watching like your Facebook updates where you were letting people know that you were okay, but like it was like up to the day of that you weren't sure if you were going to be able to make it or not, and then ultimately you weren't able to go because your home was affected by the wildfires. And so can we just say that you made it to every one? I think you deserve that.
I'll take it. No, I mean, it felt like I was there, it's still, I was checking in with the guys and everything because, it was a very frustrating moment because me sticking around here wasn't really going to change the outcome, whatever it was going to be. And me being in Arizona was not going to change, what would have happened here. I knew right away that insurance wasn't going to move as fast as I want to move. They're going to move at their own pace and everything. But it was the right thing to do, to be there with my wife and, my son and everybody else who was going through this. Just being there for them was, something I needed to do. But yeah, I missed, especially when the guys weren't being nice to me. For the last year, they were very prompt in sharing pictures from the sessions and all. I missed being there for sure. Yeah.
I know the feeling. I hate that FOMO. It's horrible. And obviously given the circumstance too. But I just had to say something. Because you're sitting there, yeah, I haven't been as involved this time and all that sort of stuff.
Thank you.
Which one of you guys is messing up with stuff?
I'm messing things up, I think, on my end.
Yeah, cut the stuff. What's the matter with
There we go.
Listen, have another cheese stick and take it easy.
Oh, I'm all out.
Of course you're out. You ate them all a while ago.
Dude, we buy packs of like 50.
That's so disgusting.
We don't eat them in one day. It's like my snack for a month.
It's disgusting. Did you eat dinner?
That's what I just told you. I didn't get a chance to do anything. I got right on the call. So that's me eating. I was just snacking, you know?
That's no way to live.
You realize that's not how I live. We've had dinner together.
I'm concerned for your well-being.
All right, Anthony. Who likes the Golden Corral?
I do.
If anyone doesn't know what that is, it's basically
Everyone knows
the
what
McDonald's of buffets.
Everyone knows what it is. And
I didn't know until you brought me there.
so Kevin has a Golden Corral. Michael, are you familiar with the Golden Corral?
No.
No? Okay. Golden Corral is a buffet. And
really bad.
Yeah. And it's tremendous. And there was one in Kevin's hometown. And every time I go there, I just visit Kevin. I ask him if he'll have lunch with me at Golden Corral. Now he did, in his defense, he did have lunch with me there one time, and then he refused to go back. So now Golden Corral has recently closed. So I have missed out on a multitude of Golden Corral opportunities because of Cheese Stick Face himself over there.
So
listen. That place was open for a maximum of 3 years. If a buffet can't make it 3 years, it's for a reason.
Yeah. So, do you guys have hometown buffet? It sounds like Golden Corral is like hometown buffet.
Yeah, we have that also.
Golden Corral is better than hometown buffet.
Yeah,
it is. They're both bad. They're both places my wife hates, but they're better. Golden Corral is better.
Anthony, sometime you're down here, we'll have to take you out to Shady Maple. It is like the buffet of buffets.
It sounds
People
like a
will drive
retirement
an
home.
hour to get their free Shady Maple breakfast buffet.
It sounds like a place I'm going to go when I retire.
It's like
to live.
It's Eastern Lancaster County, so it's like a Mennonite business, I believe. So, like Lancaster County cooked food, like people go nuts for it.
It sounds like there's probably like an old TV playing Matlock and bingo in the rec room.
It's huge. It is probably the biggest buffet you've ever seen. They can pack probably. I wouldn't be surprised if they can seat 1,000 people in that thing. It's gigantic.
Wow.
Count me in.
See,
I'll wear my stretchy pants.
After a couple of our friends watch this episode, I'm sitting here. I'm gonna expect to see some chatter about Brazilian barbecue buffet. That's happening next week in Arizona.
Nice.
So people are like, "Oh, okay. Hey, we need to make reservations. What are we doing?"
I haven't made it there yet. My favorite place at TTPG has been the Thai food restaurant.
It is definitely one of my absolute favorites, but you got to get kind of. You got to plan your visit. They get overwhelmed when 40 of us show up for food. At the same time, they're just not equipped for it. I'm surprised you missed out last year. I think Curtis took a few of our friends out to that Brazilian barbecue place. He really liked it. And if it's like any other Brazilian barbecue places that I've been to, the fried plantain that they serve is to die for. That just alone makes it worth it for me.
I went, we already talked about what my goal is at these conferences. My goal is to get out with people and talk to the people, and then I'll just eat whatever. So I ended up at the Thai food place 2 nights in a row because I went with the group I was with on the first night, and then the second night I wanted to talk to Russ, and Russ was going to the Thai place.
Yep.
So I went to the Thai place. But the first time I ever went to the Thai place, I had made a comment when I was going to present. It was the first time, 2015, I was presenting at TTPG. I was really nervous. And of course, you have to start them off with a joke, right? So I made a comment about how it was amazing to meet so many of my like man crushes in one trip, right? Because there's so many people that I've like had a crush on for a long time that I've like idolized and stuff like that. So I was walking and I was about to catch like a taxi ride to the airport because I had to leave, and somebody was really nice and set up a taxi ride for me, and Bill McCord walked up to me right before, Dr. Bill McCord walked up to me right before I was getting ready to catch the taxi, and I couldn't leave him because he started talking to me. He came up and he said, "So you got a lot of man crushes, huh?" And I couldn't resist the opportunity, so I ended up walking to the Thai restaurant all the way just because he wanted to talk to me, and I missed my ride to the airport on purpose. Like, I knew I had to go to the airport. It's not like, oh, I got caught up in the conversation. Like, no, I'm not leaving. Like, I will miss my plane if I have to have a conversation with this man who I've never met before. And that's the beauty of the TTPG and so many other, so many other things that are great about it. But for me, that's the thing that I really enjoy the most, is that opportunity to just chum it up with people who, like, I'd be thrilled to meet, and they're all there. Like, I can remember that same one, the first one that I went to, like, having a beer with Chris Hagen and being able to just have, like, a, free-flowing conversation with him that wasn't some, like, super professional, like, respectful email that I was trying to send him at that time. You know what I mean? So it was the first time that we were actually able to connect on a different level that really meant a lot to me. Like, that was, and actually at that point when I was talking to Chris, my wife was calling Ralph Till, who I was sharing a room with, to try to figure out where I was because I wasn't answering my phone because I was still like enamored by the conversation. But that's the stuff that you get from TTPG that's just like invaluable. So if you're on the fence and you're not sure, you should go. I'm just saying.
Being warned though, if you decide to go, there's a super good possibility that you will keep coming back. And this is not just some PR talk. Anthony knows what I'm referring to. It's just, and to be fair, I haven't been to the TSA conference or one of these other conferences, but having been to other work conferences, I can tell you that this one, people just put you at ease. It just happens naturally, like he was talking about, be it Dr. Bill Beckard, Chuck Shaper, Russ Gully, just you reach out to them, they talk, they're happy to answer any questions you might have. They're happy to engage, they're happy to see you. It will be a very memorable event. So if you're within driving distance or not too late to book a ticket and hop on and come over and say hi. And we will be sure to take you out to the Thai restaurant that Anthony has been talking about that he's going to.
I was so sick to my stomach. Let's just say
you too can eat at the Thai restaurant 2 nights in a row.
You too, and then you can spend extra time on the toilet afterwards reading your favorite restaurant books.
If shipping probably wasn't too expensive, Anthony, I might be tempted to gift you a new toilet for your birthday or something. It looks like
we just got some new ones.
Yeah, no, but that place genuinely has good food. I love the crab fried rice. Across the street from there, there's a small Mexican like taqueria, mangoes. I mean, Mesa. I actually, don't call me to Arizona in June or July. Not happening. But this time of the year, I love being in Mesa. It's this nice little quaint little town. Walking down in downtown, and I think while we're there, they have like a street fair or something happening on one of the days. It's a very it's a nice place to visit. A lot of fun stuff in walking distance. And for those who haven't been, the Phoenix Zoo is of course an amazing place. And downtown Mesa has the what museum is that? The Arizona Natural History Museum, I think, is down there in Mesa as well. It's a nice little place to visit. I love going there.
Awesome. Hey, so Michael, we got one more really good question from Jeremy Thompson again I want to ask before we wrap things up tonight. But Question is, Michael, do you have any plans to see your top 5 species in situ?
Do I have any plans? Not right now, but that's I'm hoping that that's what my retirement will be. Lots of outreach. Going out to schools, local, Boy Scouts, but also traveling and seeing things in situ. That's definitely one of my bucket list items. Yeah, and I'm not I'm not very picky or anything. Just take me anywhere. Show me your reefs out there in nature. I'll still be thankful. I'll buy you a couple of extra beers. No, it's just an amazing thing. Growing up in India, I didn't get that opportunity. Out here, you talk to us, or even you guys, you talk about you had the opportunity when you were 13 to go catch turtles or salamanders or something. I almost grew up in a concrete jungle, so to speak. Parents being busy, working. Not we didn't go hiking or camping, none of that sort. But I was blessed, with parents who put up with my craziness. I always had some animal or the other. I almost always had an aquarium. I had multiple dogs. I had birds. I had bunnies. And the funny part of it was, after I grew up, I talked to my dad, and he said, "Well, we had all those animals because you wanted them. I didn't want, bunnies and stuff. So I don't know where that bug came from, but I'm thankful." And the school I went to, we had like a mini zoo, and the school, can you imagine a private school? Of course, it was private school, and our private schools in India are huge. They're like some of your community colleges here. I'm not kidding. We had like a mini zoo with tortoises, and I used to stand and watch them for hours, but I never had the opportunity to get my hands on a pet turtle or anything until I was an adult. I actually, in a way, have to thank the Chinese for this. The way I was able to get my hands on turtle was because of the Chinese art of Feng Shui. That became popular in the early 2000s in India. And up until then, I was told, or in the region I grew up in, turtles were considered a bad omen. So keeping a pet turtle was I was totally out of question. But in early 2000, people started getting into Feng Shui, and they started getting turtle figurines and stuff and keeping it at homes. And it was a business opportunity. So people who owned aquariums started bringing in sliders from Singapore, and that's how I got my first turtle in 2001. I got 2 sliders, promptly stuck them in 10-gallon tank with a rock and named them Romeo and Juliet, and said, "Be happy." Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be burning in hell. Take a guess. But so to make up for lost time, to answer Jeremy's question, yeah, you bet. I mean, you go back to Africa, Jeremy. You want somebody to haul your luggages for you? Let me know. I'll go there with ticket and I'll go with you.
Hey, that's my job.
Okay, fine. I'll carry his toilet paper for him. Someday.
I was the bodyguard carrying
Anthony's toilet paper for him.
Yeah. So, yeah. No, definitely.
They won't take me on the plane. No way. This is one of those small planes where you need to weigh your luggage and you can only bring so much water. They're not going to let me on that plane. I weigh as much as 3 people. Just saying. Just saying. Sorry, got awkward. I shouldn't have said it. Steve, you awake?
I am.
You texting Kevin?
No, actually, Chris.
Oh, Chris. Leone?
Yep.
Oh, good. That's good.
Yeah. Get him out to TTPG again, Anthony. I missed the opportunity.
Yes, agreed. I actually thought he was going to go this year, but he's got obviously some stuff going on.
Yeah, I thought he was at shot too, but he ended up not being able to make it. So
yeah, he's got a new baby, so that happened.
Yeah, I would assume he's got his hands full.
Yeah, literally and figuratively. So, but that was a lot of fun to go with him too. And the miserable red-eye flight home was atrocious, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was awesome for a chance to be at the TTPG conference with him. It's his first time.
Yeah, that was definitely one of my regrets about last year, missing that opportunity because I've known Chris since I want to say maybe 2005. We've done trades, purchased stuff from him, we talk, and not being able to say hi in person, that was a bummer. Yeah.
Don't worry, it'll happen.
Yeah.
It'll happen. We need to get you out to the East Coast.
Well, one of these years. So, if I continue to stick in the higher rate space, I might have that opportunity. We get time off, so that might start happening. Yeah, for sure.
You got to see wood turtles in their natural environment. Start with them. You don't have to go to Africa first. Let's see wood turtles first.
I know, right? Yeah.
Right?
I know somebody who goes out there several times a year.
I know somebody who was out there yesterday.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I was. Oh.
Yeah.
Were you with Jordan? I saw the video that Jordan Gray posted a survey site.
No, Jordan wasn't out at our survey site this weekend. He's at something else.
Okay,
He's at a symposium, and there was a field trip involved in that symposium, and that's probably what he shared the video of.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we were out at our survey site for the last of our fall surveys yesterday.
That's not a bad idea, Anthony. I might actually hit you up next year and see if we can make that happen. I was going to make a trip to see John Green, but maybe I'll switch that up and we'll go see, look for wood turtles.
I am so much better than John Green.
I am not going to respond to that, but I will go and say, again, wood turtles, my absolute favorite. The first species I hatched out, in California. Yeah. I think it was 2011. I have to go back and look at my records, but yeah, just, again, I'll never get tired of seeing them pop out of the egg every single year. So before I got smarter, I put together a group of wood turtles, spotted turtles, and diamondback terpins with the hope that there will be some program, very much like it happens in Europe, where I can contribute captive bred hatchlings to a release program. And it was after that I found out that, yeah, that's not going to happen. So, but I still enjoy all three species. How I told you, I got into sliders when I was in India. So as soon as I got into those sliders, I discovered king snake thanks to the internet. And man, I would sit and drool at pictures of map turtles and diamondback terpins. It was map turtles especially, it was love at first sight. Ironically, I don't have any map turtles right now. All the Myramids are hogging the space.
That's what they do. That's what I'm talking about. Exactly.
But no, I have no regrets. I enjoy my reefs and my golden threads and Kwang Tong way too much.
That's awesome.
I'd have a hard time living without any map turtles, man.
Steve got so excited when you mentioned map turtles.
I know, right?
Love at first sight. I totally get it, man. Totally get it. Love my map turtles.
Yeah. No, I'm not kidding you. If you kind of bump into people who knew me from back then, they're like, yeah, that guy literally spent hours looking at pictures of turtles on the internet.
Oh my gosh. Me too. That's how it started for me. King Snake. That's when it went into a really high gear. When I would sign on to King Snake 6 times a day and just scroll through everything. And then I go back and make sure there was nothing new, and I see the second something popped up. I still do it now.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many times do you check now?
I still do. Mostly it's fauna, but yeah, it's crazy. Again and again and again, I have to know what's going on with the classifieds, what the going price of every certain thing is. And I don't know why, because I don't like selling animals. I just like to be on top of it. Actually, selling animals makes me really uncomfortable. I think that's something you and I have spoken about a lot. I don't enjoy that at all.
Yeah.
I feel icky about it, and I get really anxious, and I'm not an anxious person. It's just something about the actual act of selling the animals. But I love the sites where that stuff is going on, so I can just keep tabs on what's happening, because it's the most visible account of what we do, which is sad.
Well, I think to a certain degree, but I think when you get to a point like how you're talking about, where you're not like trying to sell it, we have this amazing network that over the years, the connections you referred to, I mean today I exchange or send hatchlings to friends. I'm not selling because again, it helps that I'm not breeding to sell, right? It just, again, focusing on being able to, exchange bloodlines and keeping things going. And friends are nice enough to send animals over. It goes both ways. It's just exciting. And that excitement comes without having to buy from somebody you don't know, and then you're keeping your fingers crossed and hoping that you'll actually get a healthy animal. I picked up recently a beautiful ornate box turtle from Kevin, actually, just a stunning animal, and but that was the connection just made me feel comfortable. I didn't have to think 10 times about buying it from him. We just went through it. And that's part of like the surplus list that we're trying to do. We're hoping that people will list healthy animals in that in good faith members can buy. I mean, the horrors of buying in fauna or king snake at times. I think I can actually count with my two hands the number of people who I buy from. I repeatedly buy from just a few people. That's it. I don't want to take the chance that go through the trouble. It's just sometimes, like I said, it's too much. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And just as a disclaimer, I love John Green. I was just joking when I said that. I mean, I am way better than him, but he's pretty good. That just shows how good I am.
Yeah, you should have, you should have seen John when he attended his first TTPG conference, or even a second. You have to ask him about it when you get a chance. It was, I still remember him. I think he planned to be there only on Thursday and Friday, and then he's like, oh my gosh, all these guys are still hanging out. I don't want to go back home. So he called his girlfriend or fiance at the time, and he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna stay a little while longer." And I think he stayed through stayed through Saturday. We have the fun auction that we do. But yeah, well, you talked about man crushes, so you can relate. The first time can potentially get a little bit overwhelming, but once things settle down for you and you look back, you realize it was a blast.
Absolutely.
It is a blast. Yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
guys, I think we should probably wrap this up. It's getting a little bit late. Sorry,
Agreed. It's been a great show. Always leave them wanting more, right? We can do this again.
We should do this again.
We should do this again. Michael, it's been a pleasure to actually get to talk with you more than just a random email here or there.
Likewise.
And I do look forward to eventually meeting you at a conference. If Russ ever decides to not have the TTPG conference on my anniversary weekend, you might see me there.
Or Steve, here's another way. One of these years, you're gonna say, you know what? An Arizona trip is actually a nice anniversary gift to my wife, unless she doesn't like the desert and the cacti, But it's like I said, Mesa at this time of the year is nice, and there's it's a beautiful place to visit. But no, I totally hear you. Like I said, we cannot just expect everybody to come here. I sure hope our paths cross. I've been trying to rope in Kevin as well. I think pretty soon I'm going to get to a point where come September, people are going to kind of block me and like, Michael, no, the only thing this guy talks about is like, are you going to come to TTPG? It's like, let's block the life out of him. Let's not talk to him until Christmas or something.
Michael, I have a very, very simple fix for this. Like, I can guarantee you 2 of the 3 of us will go if you can make this one thing happen. You have to convince Anthony's wife to convince my wife that it's a good idea for all 4 of us to go with our kids. Then it'll happen.
I'm in. One last thing before we wrap up. Michael, have you given a talk yet?
No.
Well,
I was very tempted. So, if I'm gonna do it, I want to do it right. I do have a topic in mind. I think a very relevant topic and stuff. We might do it next year. I need to give shape to it. It's something that some of the other members have asked about. Something, like I said, I don't want to give too much away right now. I think it's something very relevant that everybody would be interested in. So, yeah.
I just wanted to call you out on that because I thought that was the answer. And I just wanted to make sure in front of everyone who's watching.
To be fair, though, there was plans for me to talk about my love for Muramis, but somebody stole the thunder. What can I do? So, we don't want to repeat the same topic 2 years in a row. So.
Who's that, me?
I guess somebody talked about Reef's Turtle.
I did, but only it was a small part of my talk.
No, I'm just giving you a hard time. No, it's that has to happen. Yeah, it just
Good.
has.
Good. Now you said it in front of everyone on the interwebs, so now you have to.
It's
So,
out
just
there
saying.
permanently, not going anywhere.
Maybe I'll just pivot it and put it on Russ. He hasn't asked me. He always says, "Well, we have to work hard to bring interesting speakers." So maybe that's telling something. So
It's not right. Can't let them treat you
Bring it
like
right
that.
in. Like, this is what I want to talk about at the next conference. And just make it happen.
That's what I do. And then I just don't follow through. That's the difference between me and Michael. You're like, Russ, here's the 4 books I'm going to write for you by next week.
No, maybe we have an unsaid rule that directors can't provide a presentation. Although that's not true. Kurt, we managed to rope and Kurt did, but for 1 or 2 presentations. So I guess I can't use that excuse.
See?
We just want to make sure that we are not hogging the spot. We want to put other people on the spot, bring them in, share.
Nope. Gotta do one. You gotta do one. Frank the Tank.
Deal
You
with
gotta do one. You gotta do one.
I'll make a deal with you, Anthony.
Yeah.
You and one of your friends from the TurtleRoom, not Andrew, show up. That year I'm making a presentation. We'll hope that.
Done. Air high five. Jim and Pam. Jim and Pam.
Go for it.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having me, guys, and letting me, talk about TTPG. I mean, it's something very dear to my heart. For those who don't know me, I'm not a biologist. I'm a guy. I'm a software engineer, network engineer. Guy grew up in a concrete jungle without chasing turtles and stuff. But TTPG has given me the opportunity to get involved and be passionate about it and share that passion with others. So I sincerely hope we can get others hooked, just like how I'm hooked, and spread your passion with others. So thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll talk, but if not, you guys all have a wonderful holiday season, and
Thank you.
have a lovely evening.
You too.
Thank you, Michael. So glad you could
All right,
join
guys.
us. So
Thank you.
glad
Good
you could
luck.
join us.
Thank you, guys.
So
Enjoy the conference.
for Anthony, Kevin, and our awesome guest, Michael, I'm Steve, signing off here from Pondcast episode 56. We'll see you on December 2nd for episode 57. Have a great night.
Good night, everyone. Bye, guys.